After raining for most of the afternoon, the sky finally cleared up around dinner time, and I had the most amazing sunset to watch for about an hour before going to bed. The next morning, the skies had cleared, and while the ground was still wet, it was sunny for all the rest of my hike. I had really nice weather, it was really clear, and none of the fog or passing rainstorms or any of the rest of the weather difficulties I'd had in the previous 3 days were any more of an issue. I ended up getting sunburn by the 5th day. But here I am. I got up normally, had my breakfast, packed all my stuff away after drying it out in the sun for a little while, and made my way out of this farm and toward the small town of Putbus on the coast. The settlement of Güstelitz, where I spent the night, is a ways off of the main trail, a couple kilometers. So before I reached the town of Putbus the previous day, I turned off on a forest road and hiked for about half an hour to get to camp. And so now I'm turning onto a bike path that will bring me back to the E10 after about a half an hour of walking back toward it. And then from there, I will turn into the town of Putbus. So I'm not really on the main trail at this point. I'm off on a spur, but I'm passing through a couple small settlements and will be walking past cornfields and pastures and farmland for a while. When I do eventually get to Putbus, I'm going to have to take another detour into the town itself to go shopping. It turned out that as I was hiking the last few days, my little fuel system, my cooker, was burning through my alcohol supply a lot faster than I had planned. It was supposed to run for a full 7 days on the can that I had, but I was already almost out by the 3rd day. So I'm going to take a detour to walk over to a hardware store that turned out to be right next to a historical train station where they were test running a number of steam locomotives back and forth through the yard. So that was in itself really interesting to watch. They were bellowing smoke and blowing their whistles and making a lot of noise. Very exciting. So I got a resupply of alcohol and loaded that back up into my cooker and repacked my bag for a little bit and had a little second breakfast in town before getting back on the main trail out of Putbus. I follow along some town roads for a while, and then I'm back walking through farmlands and getting close to the eastern coast of the island at this point. As you'll see in the videos for the next couple days, as I start working my way around the south and eastern side of the island, there's quite a lot of very lovely footage of open fields, but off in the distance you will fairly consistently see the sea, the Baltic Sea, in the sunlight. It's very pretty. My destination today is going to be another small farm, an organic orchard in the village of Altkamp. It's about 10 kilometers away from where I started. Like I mentioned in the previous day's video, I'd done 2 days back-to-back of over 20 kilometers, and with the boots I was using, my feet were pretty sore. So I'm doing a shorter day today. I won't be out too long. I think I get into camp at about 2 in the afternoon, and so I have a very long bit of time to sit my stuff out in the sun and keep drying it off, and then just to enjoy a nice leisurely dinner before going to bed. Just as an aside, I'll mention also the cooker I'm using is this really neat little pizza stone alcohol cooker that is made by a guy on Etsy named Bruce. I'll put a link to his page down in the description. I got a recommendation from it from My Life Outdoors, another great YouTuber that you should check out. You can search for him here on YouTube. He does a lot of gear reviews that I found really helpful, and that one in particular I thought was really interesting. So this hike was my first long distance hike where I'm trying out this cooker and seeing how it works. And aside from it consuming a lot more fuel than I was expecting, which turned out later on I found out was due to my not having a big enough windscreen, which fixed the problem. It worked out really well. I was really happy with it. It was a really nice upgrade from my really ancient MSR whisper light that I'd been using for, I think, 20 years by this point. But anyway, I'm coming up on the end of my little side trail here from the settlement of Güstelitz, and I'll be turning back onto the E10 and making my way into the town of Putbus shortly. You'll see the sign in a little bit here. I'm not going to record any of the video in the town itself. There was a lot of traffic, and I'm mostly just walking along sidewalks, and there's one city park that ended up being really lovely, and a very strange puppet museum on my way out of town. But other than that, it wasn't anything that I felt would really make a lot of sense to record. So the next part of this that you'll see is me heading out of the town on my way to the settlement of Altkamp, where there's a lovely little apple orchard where I spend the night. From this point on, as I'm leaving the town of Putbus, I'm going to be walking along farmers' fields and mostly along this road. You can see how much the weather has changed. It's about early afternoon at this point, but it's a very different sort of climate from what it was in the morning, or especially the previous couple days where it was much more hazy and foggy and rainy. From this point on, like I said, it's going to be sunny and clear for the rest of the trip, and it ended up giving me some really nice views of the coast and the Baltic Sea in the distance. So I'm going to be walking along this road now for, I think, only maybe another hour before I arrive at camp. It wasn't a very long day, like I said. But that is going to be all of the video I have for this day's hike. Like I said, it was a fairly short hike to begin with. I'll be posting the last couple of days. Hopefully I'll maybe get one out before the end of the year, but I expect I will probably not be able to wrap up the entire hike across Rügen until sometime in maybe early January. But in any case, I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope you're enjoying my diaries of all the days that I've been doing this through hike, and I'm really looking forward to being able to do some more hikes in the new year. We'll see how it goes. I'm waiting on a couple things to get in place, but I should be able to start finally posting some videos that have their own sound, so you can listen to my boots crunching on gravel or through snow or through the grass, or listen to the wind in the trees. But for now, I have 2 more days to go before I'm done with Rügen, and that will be that. So thank you very much. Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the next video.